Hello everyone, I'm Christine. I had a request for a tip on how to secure elastic in a waistband so that it doesn't roll and curl on you. I'm going to insert some video where I demonstrate the technique on this pair of shorts. This is the Robert shorts by Children's Corner. This is a pair of shorts for my oldest grandson. I made him in a size 8. And the back of the pant is elasticated, and you can see I have stitched through the elastic. It still gathers nicely, it does not pop, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Before I forget, today I am wearing the Cielo top by Closet Core Patterns, or I should say Cielo, that's how they pronounce it, and the mauve skirt. So let's get into the tutorial for how you can secure your elastic so it doesn't roll. It's really easy. It just takes attention to detail with your seam allowance. And you can see mine is not perfect as I pull it out, but I think it's really good enough. And I would, if I weren't demonstrating it, I would have used a thread color closer to the color of my shorts. They turned out super cute. I'm going to be seeing my grandson this weekend, and I think he's really going to like them. We're in my sewing room, and I'm going to be inserting some elastic in a waistband in these shorts. This is the Robert shorts by Children's Corner. It is only elasticated in the back, so I've already sewn my casing. I'm going to insert the elastic from the side seam, and I'm going to tack it down on both edges of the short. Actually, I'll be sewing it down. I'm going to use white thread when I do that because I think it will hide it a little bit better, you know, with this fabric having these different colors. And then when I go to sew down the elastic to keep it from rolling, I'm going to use navy blue so that it's easier for you to see. So I've already prepared my waistband. I have my elastic, and per usual, I've made a mark on the same side of the elastic at each end of the elastic. I don't know if it's showing up. That way I can see when it comes out of the casing if it has rolled. I will be careful, but it's also good to have that as a double check. And to feed the elastic through, you can use a bodkin, which clamps onto the elastic, or you can use a safety pin. When I'm threading, I like to have something on both ends so that if this kind of disappears, I can feed it through by pulling on the safety pin. So I'm going to find the opening in my casing. I'm going to thread this through, and I will meet you at the sewing machine while I sew it down. So what I do is I adjust my gathers a little bit, and I am going to sew down the seam. And you can see I have pinned my elastic into the waistband on both sides. I'm just going to go to my machine. Let me turn it on first. And I am going to sew the elastic into the waistband, just stitching in the waistband along the seam. Stitching in the ditch, really. As you can see, I have it under my machine, just the elastic waistband. I'll try not to jostle the tripod too much. This is my seam line right here. I have it centered, and I moved my pin that I had holding the elastic to the waistband. This is securing it on the inside so that I can pull it out towards me as I sew. It's not going to get in the way of the needle where it is, but it'll just keep it from being awkward. So I'm going to needle down, and I'm just going to stitch this down. I'm going to reverse it just for a little extra security. Tie it off. And there we go. Nice and neat. I'm going to trim these threads, and I'm going over to the other side. Pull it out. So it is secure in there. So the next step is I'm going to take out my safety pin and my bodkin from inside the short. I'm going to adjust my gathers to get them evenly distributed. And then I'm going to change my thread to a navy blue so that it can be easier for you to see. I think that white really blends in. And then we're going to top stitch this down using a long stitch length. And I'm going to pull it straight but not overstretch it as I stitch down. So what I'm going to do, this happens to be Meriflex thread, but you can use regular thread for this. I'm going to lengthen my stitch to 3.5 in length. And I'm going to adjust my gathers just a little bit more. And I'm going to put a few pins in and work on this section at a time. And your results will come out best the more patience you have. In the past, I've gotten some wobbly lines because I've just run out of patience. And usually when I run out of patience and it's going around the whole waistband is right at the center, and you would think I would learn to just have the patience to go slow. So I'm going to lower my speed, and I'm going to put this under my presser foot. I'm going to do a few lines of stitching. Now I'm going to start off really securing my stitch so that it won't be tugged loose. So I'm going to do that a few times. Stitch in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to straighten my fabric. I'm not going to overstretch it, but I'm going to pull it straight from behind and just pull one section at a time. And I'm going to be mindful that I'm not overstretching, and I'm going to try to keep a very straight stitch going. So let's go. I'm using the edge of my presser foot against the fabric. And because I've lengthened the stitch, it's not going to pop when it stretches out. And that's the other reason why we're pulling it straight, that when the stitch goes in, it's going at the most stretched out point. So I've got to my first marker. I'm going to take out my pin and I'm going to continue. To my next marker. And these marker pins are so that I don't pull out some of these gathers that I want in as I'm stretching the stitch. So these still stay nice and gathered despite my stitching. And we'll see how this comes out, because it's a little bit of a challenge doing this with the tripod between my knees. I'm making sure I'm going all the way to the side seam. I thought I was finished, but I was not. I'm going to tie it off. I'm going to do my next row. I'm going to use my stitch and line. This is such a short waistband. This is a 3/4 inch elastic. I don't want to put that many stitches in it. So you can move your needle around, or you can use the stitch and line as your next guide. And I'm going to use my last stitch and line to guide me. So I'm going to lower my needle in. I'm going to do a tack down stitch. so that when I pull it, it doesn't pull it out of shape. And this is where going slow really helps, because I can get off of this line pretty easy, especially when I'm leaning over a tripod. I'm going to do it as neat as I can. This is one of those things with patience and practice. Comes out better and better. This is only going around half the waistband of a child's garment, so I think I should get pretty good results. And hopefully I'm not leaning in, blocking your view. It's nice and smooth. I'm also trying not to pinch wrinkles in. Let's see how I did. So I did 3 lines of stitching, and it came out pretty good considering I was leaning over my machine at an awkward angle. I'm going to give you a close-up view of the stitching. You can do this with your regular all-purpose polyester sewing thread, a little longer stitch, and a regular sewing foot. Let me know if you try this and if this is helpful. If you'd like to see more tips and tutorials and other sewing goodness, check it out here.